Einar. Okay, folks. We conclude today the 17th letter. So we spoke about 3 different dimensions. In this world, there's a dimension of life as it continues after this world, in the Garden of Eden, where our soul goes after our time here, after 120 years here. And then, eventually, God willing, it should be today, the eventuality of Mashiach. So we explained that when we do a mitzvah today, what it creates. And specifically now we're talking about for the future. We did speak about here a couple days ago. But the future again is after 120 years in this world. We do a mitzvah today, it creates a reality. That's going to be experienced in the Garden of Eden and in times of Mashiach. And with this, then the Alter Rebbe concludes, we can understand the verse from King David in Tehillim that says, and your commandment is very wide. So the single commandment was in reference, because it's in singular form, is in reference to God's command. And what is God's ultimate command? What does he enclothe himself with? Tzedakah. With acts of loving kindness. With giving. Being charitable. That's what God ultimately does, right? We're the recipients of his charity. That's what God is doing. That's what he's giving to us. He's giving himself to us that we should have. And the very fact that we exist, and the very fact that the things we have are, of course, of him. So that's what he gives us. And the term that's used over here is rechava, wide. So we had a question. Well, that's how you say great, say lofty, such a mitzvah. But what do you mean wide? And why ma'oid? Very wide. What is the reference over here? So the Alter Rebbe explains. Because this is in reference to the times of Mashiach. Wide is a reference to infinite, without limitation, that we arouse through our act of loving kindness of tzedakah here, now, that ultimately we will experience, not today, in times of Mashiach, that act in an infinite way, very wide. Not just wide, but very wide. Which, of course, anything that we're going to speak about over here will have limitation, but the metaphor being that it is a limitless, endless experience of the divine that will be in the times of Mashiach. What will before that be? So the verse from this verse concludes, L'chol tichla re'isi kates. To every tichla I have seen an end. So the regular way to translate the word tichla is to conclusion. To every conclusion I've seen an end. On a deeper level to understand this verse, it is to every tichla, for the word kalois nefesh, for every expiring of the soul, for every yearning of the soul, I've seen an end. What does it mean you see an end? Why would the expiry of the soul see an end? It should be your soul expiring for God. Maybe there should be no end to that. There's an end in what that experience will be, because there'll be another level that you can experience higher and greater than that. When is that in reference to? That's in reference to our soul in the Garden of Eden. Our soul in the Garden of Eden will yearn for more. And therefore, whatever it's experiencing in a way that the soul has an expiry to it. In other words, it's totally taken up in the experience. There's an end to it. You know why? Because there's another level that's even greater than that. And you know what? After that, there's another level that's even greater than that. And so on and so forth. That's why when a person passes away on a yard site, we say Kaddish. Why do we say Kaddish? It's because now that soul is going to another level. The soul is going to yearn and expire in that yearning, being connected with godliness at a loftier level upon level. And that's why when a loved one passes away and we give tzedakah in particular, but any mitzvah, we say Kaddish, we put on tefillin, we light Shabbos candles, whatever mitzvah we do for them. And again, in particular, we're speaking about the mitzvah of tzedakah, acts of loving kindness, of giving, being charitable. We allow that soul, because it can't do anything now, it doesn't have mitzvahs to fulfill, but we allow that soul to go from level to level. And that's what it means that I have seen in an end to the expiring of the soul, which will be, again, in the Garden of Eden. But in times of Mashiach, there won't be expiring of the soul, because we will experience then the essence of God, not levels of divinity, but the essence of God. And since we will experience the essence of God's manifestation in times of Mashiach, which that's the first part of the verse in Tehillim, of Psalms, Rechava mitzvascha ma'od, your mitzvah, the act of loving kindness is extremely wide, meaning infinite, endless. That's the metaphor. We will utterly transcend any level and levels of divinity, because we will touch the essence and the core of God himself in the experience of God. Today we have the essence of God through the act of the mitzvah, absolutely, but we don't have the experience of the essence of God. Mashiach will bring that. We'll have that experience. That will be beyond level. So then, in a sense, there won't be yearning. There won't be yearning for the soul. Yearning is because you want more. Because what you have is limited. And if there's a limited level of divinity, that means there'll always be a greater level of divinity. In times of Mashiach, which we anticipate today, the essence of God's radiance will be revealed, utterly transcending all levels. And in that sense, there will be a repose to the soul, in the sense that it will have a complete connection to the essence of divine and delight in that radiance of God's essence. Maybe today. Powerful idea. And that's what the ultimate purpose in creation is the manifestation of the essence of God himself. Not rays of light, radiance, a radiation of light. Like from the sun has a radiation of light, a ray of light that shines upon us. That's not the essence of the sun. But in times of Mashiach, we'll have the essence of the sun radiating or illuminating us, and therefore we will experience the core essence of God. When you experience the core essence of God, there's no more to go, so to speak. Now, it should be said, even in that, there's, but powerful idea. I hope that was clear. Denise, do the souls automatically go higher levels after their yard site? specifically because we've done something for them. Giving tzedakah on a day of passing, the yearly day of passing, it's called Yortzeit. Tzedakah particularly. Say a l'chaim together with others. Yes. Think and do for the, a mitzvah. But particularly tzedakah. Yes, absolutely. Does the soul, Jane asks, when it goes to Gan Eden now, experience a sense of loss since it can not perform mitzvahs any longer? Good question, Jane. I guess it, on some level it does, but ultimately it's enamored with the light of God, the illumination, that the soul's kind of grabbed by that. So I don't know if it senses the loss, because it has such a, there's a lot to say about that, but just in brief, perhaps not. And if it does experience, it's not much of an experience of it, because the light of God is, is tantalizing, shall we say, pleasurable, the light of God. There's a story I'm just told of. I don't remember exactly who the names are. I can't remember the names of who exactly, but saying, a tzaddik saying that I'm not going to go into Gan Eden, into the Garden of Eden, as long as there's people, as long as Mashiach hasn't come. But you know what happened after a little time? The light was so bright, so illuminating. The candy was so sweet. The soul just got taken. So another tzaddik said, no, I'm not going to let what happened to that tzaddik. Tzaddikim know what goes on above. We don't. I don't. And after some time, it happened to him too. I'm sure our Rebbe, though, is different. So on that level, feeling the pain, the soul's above, feeling the pain of the fact that we're in exile and that, we need the redemption, and they're doing everything to bang down heaven's door to bring Mashiach. That, yes, for sure, on some level. Yes, Alice, thank you. That's very true. When we go into a cemetery, men have to put their tzitzis in a manner that they're not seen outwardly, because that's a mitzvah that the deceased can't do, and therefore they get jealous. So on that level, yeah, that they're, because we're there, we're coming to visit them, and so they see that, they sense that. So it's true, there is a jealousy that they can't do that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Alice. So there is some kind of, but again, yeah, there is. Thank you. Denise asks, will there be any divine contraction of the divine light of Hashem in the world to come? Well, the essence of God will be revealed, Any contraction, I don't know what that means exactly, but, the essence of God will be revealed. So in that sense, there isn't a contraction. In that manner, there isn't. All right, folks, powerful stuff. So we know what we need to do. Mitzvahs, particularly tzedakah, being charitable, acts of loving kindness, that produces that infinite light. All mitzvahs do, but particularly tzedakah. Why? That's God's mitzvah, because that's what he's doing all the time. Think about it. You have a breath that you just breathed. You have a mind that just understood. You have a heart that senses a connection. That's all a tzedakah. That's all a charity from God. I exist, charity from God. That's his mitzvah, so that becomes our mitzvah. And through that we'll bring Mashiach now. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in my tribe Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Please be charitable. And Chabad.org is doing now their yearly. We're doing also our yearly, but wherever you give, as long as we give, that's what counts. All the best. God bless you. And don't forget to share. Have a wonderful day.